And she was searching for the big black, not only for herself, but for somebody else who we all know that was in the room with her.
Lawsuit, man, Cassie, she also alleges that, while she was having sex with these male prostitutes, the male prostitutes, and Diddy, they all wore masquerade masks.
He didn't want her to know who they were. All these industry people know that Diddy been acting like this and doing this and try to engage other men into sexual acts with him. There was story that he was trying to get Chris Brown. There's stories about, those young boys that he had, a group B5 or something like that, trying to get them. Yo, it's a lot of stories that goes around in this industry.
You've got to brace yourselves for this drama because it looks like we're finally getting to the juicy part of Diddy's lawsuit. The feds are now spilling some serious tea about the case, and let me tell you, it's wild. Turns out, the feds have been investigating Diddy for 11 years over his inappropriate relationships with young men. They're saying these relationships were allegedly part of some twisted Hollywood ritual. And get this, many of Diddy's victims are well-known celebrities. Leaked documents have dropped some big names, and trust me, you're going to be absolutely shocked when you find out who's involved. Looks like the feds are tightening their grip on Diddy, and oh boy, the amount of tea they've got on him is enough to make the internet spin. People online are calling him everything but a child of God, and the allegations against him are getting more intense and outrageous by the day. The investigation has uncovered numerous victims of Diddy, and it's truly heartbreaking to hear what they allegedly went through. Many people think Diddy's problems began when Cassie filed a lawsuit against him in November, which encouraged 4 others to come forward, bringing the total to 5 lawsuits. But the truth is, the drama started much earlier. Back in 2013, the FBI was already investigating Diddy over serious allegations involving young boys. And when the feds are looking into someone for something this serious, it's likely they had some pretty credible information to go on. Back in 2013, music executive James Roseman, also known as Jimmy Henchman, got arrested by the feds on a laundry list of charges, including drug trafficking, murder for hire, money laundering, and more. Seriously, if you needed anything shady done in Hollywood, Jimmy Henchman was your go-to guy. He was in the know about all the darkest secrets and the most sinister people in Hollywood. It turns out, the feds believed he had dirt on Diddy's dealings with minors. The fact that law enforcement thought Diddy could be linked to someone as notorious as Jimmy Henchman speaks volumes about the kind of activities they suspected Diddy was involved in. This really sets off alarm bells. It definitely seems like Diddy has been working really hard to erase all traces of this from the internet. There's barely any mention of it anywhere. It's pretty clear why he'd want to do this. Being associated with something like this could seriously harm his career and public image. Alright, so the feds have been watching him for ages, and the lawsuits just gave them even more reasons to investigate, and wow, they found out some shocking stuff. One crazy thing is that Diddy allegedly made a move on Chris Brown when he was really young. Chris actually talked about this a few years ago, but most people didn't catch the full meaning of his words. He revealed that Diddy tried to make a move on him when he was just 12 years old.
He turned you down.
Yeah.
So how did that meeting go? So how did the meeting go, and then what did Diddy say? Why did he turn you down?
And this was probably maybe 2 or 3 years prior.
Okay.
So I was like 11 or 12 at this time.
Here's the scoop from some insiders. The real reason Diddy didn't sign Chris wasn't about his talent. Allegedly, it was because Diddy had some additional expectations beyond just a record deal. He supposedly wanted Chris to attend his so-called puffy-flavored camp, if you know what I mean. But Chris was savvy, even back then, and wasn't interested in that kind of arrangement. To be clear, Diddy didn't pass on Chris because he lacked talent. Big names like L.A. Reid and Def Jam were eager to sign him. Chris just wanted to explore his options, so he reached out to Diddy to see what was on the table. So it wasn't a matter of skill, but more about Chris not wanting to play by Diddy's rules. All right, so here's where things start to get sketchy. While Chris managed to avoid trouble, not everyone was as fortunate. Take Usher, for instance. Word on the street is that Diddy allegedly dragged Usher into some shady business, and let me tell you, it's not the kind of stuff a kid should ever be mixed up in. Now, if you're not familiar, Usher's been in the game for ages. He's been cranking out tunes since the late 80s when he was just a wee 10-year-old. By the time he hit 13, he was already signed by one of the industry's heavy hitters at the time, Louisiana. Reed. Reed took Usher under his wing, introducing him to all the big shots, including Diddy. All right, brace yourselves for this bizarre twist. So, get this. Diddy and Usher actually go way back, way before Usher got signed by L.A. Reid. And supposedly the weird part, Diddy allegedly started messing with Usher when he was just 10 years old. And guess what? That's around the same time Usher started dipping his toes into the music scene. In this clip, you can straight up hear Diddy dropping the bomb that they used to bunk together when Usher was still a kiddo.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get up early.
So back then, Diddy didn't have his bad boy record label, so he couldn't sign Usher. But when Reid signed him, Diddy was all in, sticking around Usher like glue. Their friendship raised some eyebrows, especially considering Diddy's past. Things got even weirder when Reid sent Usher to live with Diddy to learn the ropes of the music biz. At the time, it seemed logical, but looking back, it seems shady. Reid was a bigger name in the industry than Diddy, so why send Usher to Diddy instead of Reid? It's all pretty suspicious in hindsight. There's this buzz going around that Reid might have teamed up with Diddy to cause trouble for Usher. Apparently, some folks are pointing out that Reid himself has been accused by multiple women, and you know the saying, birds of a feather flock together. Usher hasn't spilled much about his time living with Diddy, but from what he's hinted at over the years, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. In a rare chat with Howard Stern, Usher dropped hints about some pretty creepy stuff he witnessed while crashing at Diddy's place.
You understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. But hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
You ever notice how Usher was all like, nah, no ladies at the parties, but then turned around and said it was kind of sus and a bunch of folks thought maybe there was some gay stuff happening? And with all those rumors about Diddy being on the down low, it's not exactly shocking. Then, in another chat, Usher hinted at some shady stuff going down with him and Diddy, but he seemed hesitant to spill the tea. The interviewer even picked up on how Usher seemed oddly tense about it all. Usher became surprisingly restrained. I want to save some for my book one day, he said. I'll put it this way, there was a lot of S*X. The feds aren't just pointing fingers at Usher, they're also giving a nod to Justin Bieber. It's like a whole tangled web, you know? Usher played a part because he introduced Justin to Diddy. But here's the kicker. Justin wasn't discovered by Usher himself. It was this guy named Scooter Braun who found him on YouTube doing his thing, belting out tunes. Then Scooter brings Justin into the picture with Usher, who in turn brings him to Diddy's doorstep. Now, Usher's been pretty tight-lipped about his time with Diddy, but from the bits he's let slip, it sounds like it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. In fact, it seems like it was a downright nightmare for him. So, Usher's been getting a ton of flack lately because folks are scratching their heads wondering why in the world he'd hook up a young kid with Diddy, especially knowing the rumors swirling around Diddy and young boys since back in the 90s. The idea of Usher potentially setting up another youngster for whatever shady stuff Diddy's been accused of is just mind-boggling. And what adds another layer of weirdness to this whole thing is that Justin was also 13 when Usher introduced him to Diddy, which happens to be the same age Diddy was when Reid sent Usher to live with him. It's all just so sketchy. Fans even started thinking that Diddy might have had something going on with Justin after he posted this video of them hanging out for like 48 hours straight. And then, he's promising Justin a Ferrari when he hits 16 and a whole mansion when he turns 18. Man, it's like textbook love bombing or something.
All right, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Yeah, when you get 16, you come down there, you gotta, wear your seatbelt.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right, 16.
You're not ready.
16.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down, Jess.
Okay.
Let's slow down, okay?
One step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when you get 16. You good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
And then when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay. I get the mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the same Diddy who's been getting flack from his artists for not paying up what they're owed. Finally, just before Cassie's lawsuit hit, he decided to give them back their masters. Coincidence? Probably not. And then this whole thing with Justin, where he's promising him a Ferrari and a mansion. Sounds pretty shady, right? But just wait, because what Diddy says next is even more suspicious.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Crazy.
After hanging out with Diddy for a solid 48 hours, Justin seemed to be on edge whenever Diddy was around. Fans couldn't help but notice. But it's like Diddy was either totally clueless about Justin's vibe or he just couldn't be bothered.
Everything's good? Selling out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
There's this wild video of them at this super flashy party, and guess who's in the mix? Diddy, being his usual Diddy self, has Justin doing some pretty shady stuff to Odell Beckham Jr. It's like, what on earth was going down at that party? It's got everybody talking. You know how Cassie once spilled the beans about Diddy allegedly getting her into drugs? Well, word on the street is that he might have pulled the same stunt with Justin. Yeah, Justin's been open about his battle with addiction before, and it's just gut-wrenching to think about what he might have gone through at such a young age in the industry. He's been real about how tough it was to kick the habit, too. Folks have been quick to point out that it's kinda intriguing that Justin straightened up once he stepped away from Diddy's circle. And hey, not just Justin, there's a whole list of names tied to Diddy's vibe, like that Empire actor Brashear Gray. It's like once they're out of that scene, things start looking up, you know? Brashear was killing it on Empire. Everyone thought he was gonna blow up big time in the biz, but then he vanished into thin air. Rumor has it, he dipped because he couldn't handle being constantly assaulted by Diddy and just kept quiet about it. A few weeks into Empire, Brashear bumps into none other than Will Smith. And bam, instant connection. They hit it off like old pals, and Brer starts calling Will his mentor. Then the plot thickens. Will supposedly introduces Brashear to Diddy. Why? Well, turns out Brer had dreams of being a rapper, and Will wanted to toss him a rope into the music biz. But looking back now, knowing all the gossip about Diddy and his alleged flings with Will Smith, it's like, whoa, major red flag alert. But back then, nobody had a clue about Diddy's closet full of skeletons. After Empire, Brashear dropped a few tracks that did okay, and he was gearing up for a tour. But then it's like the whole industry turned its back on him. He lost out on movie gigs, and no music bigwig wanted anything to do with him. His tunes hardly got any playtime on the radio. Rumor has it he rubbed some important folks the wrong way when he stood up against something he wasn't cool with. And bam! Just like that, he was out, banned, and blacklisted from the biz. And it's not just the young dudes getting into hot water. Rumor has it, Jamie Foxx got on Diddy's bad side and nearly ended up in some real trouble. Apparently, they were buds. Tight as can be. But Jamie, bless his heart, couldn't keep his trap shut and spilled some juicy deets about Diddy's legendary parties. Needless to say, Diddy wasn't too pleased. And if you've been following the legal roller coaster Diddy's been on lately, you know it's been one heck of a show. Diddy is known for having this thing where he likes to film his wild escapades. Like in Cassie's lawsuit, she mentioned how he allegedly recorded her during their intimate moments. Then there's Joey Dickerson-Neal, who claimed Diddy filmed him too during some steamy encounters. And let's not forget Lil Rod's lawsuit, where he spilled that Diddy liked to capture his party shenanigans on camera. Then there's Jamie, who spilled the beans big time. He said he and Diddy were tight, like really tight. Apparently, Diddy trusted him enough to handle the camera at one of his infamous bashes. And Jamie? Well, he was more than happy to oblige. But here's the kicker. While most people knew to keep their lips sealed about Diddy's private stuff, Jamie missed that memo completely. He couldn't help but brag about being Diddy's cameraman and ended up dishing out all the juicy details about the crazy stuff he witnessed.
It was town car days. I had a town car. Popped out the town car with a camera. Said, yo, Puff, yo, you gotta let me film this. The whole thing, we need to document this, Playboy. He was like, yo, let him through. And I'm like, all right, I'm through.
So a few weeks after this video went up online, Jime suddenly got really sick, like mysteriously sick. At one point, we were all freaking out, thinking he might not pull through. Then, out of the blue, his daughter Karen dropped a statement on behalf of the fam. We wanted to share that my father, Jamie Foxx, experienced a medical complication yesterday. Luckily, due to quick action and great care, he is already on his way to recovery. We know how beloved he is and appreciate your prayers. The family asks for privacy during this time. But here's the juicy part. Folks in the industry who seem to be in the loop, dropping hints like it's hot, started whispering that he might have been attacked. Yeah, even Steve Harvey chimed in on that rumor mill. I don't even really know what happened, man. I was just stunned because Jamie's fit. This dude, he don't do nothing, man. This dude is fit, so I was really concerned, man. So I hope everything works out. I'm pretty sure it will. Even Nia Long tweeted, "My heart is heavy this morning, praying for our brother, Jamie Foxx." You all know Steve Martin and Nia Long, right? They're not the kind of celebs who are into all that clout-chasing stuff, especially in this kind of situation. So when they started suspecting something fishy was going on, it just added a whole new layer of creepiness to the mix. And let's not forget, there was a full-blown police investigation into this. Word on the street is Jamie Foxx even told the cops he thought someone was out to get him. And why were the cops even involved in a medical emergency in the first place? That's not the usual protocol, unless there's some serious foul play at play. Fans were quick to start pointing fingers at Diddy, thinking he might be behind it all, especially after Jamie called him out. Now, I'm not saying Diddy definitely did it or anything to Jamie, but there's been a ton of chatter about how he's supposedly gone after other celebs who crossed him. I mean, Cass's lawsuit straight up accused Diddy of allegedly trying to blow up Kid Psy for dating Cassie after she split from him. Like, seriously? Planning to blow someone up in front of their loved ones? That's some straight up villainous stuff right there. But Lil Rod really laid it out in his lawsuit, saying Diddy used to straight up boast to him about all the shady stuff he'd done and gotten away with. Mr. Combs shared that he was responsible for the shooting in the nightclub in New York. He shared that artist, and Mr. Combs' girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, aka J-Lo, carried the gun into the club for him and passed him the gun after he got into an altercation with another individual. Back in '99, there was this whole mess where Diddy, Jennifer Lopez, and Shine hit up a club. Things got heated, shots were fired, and Shine ended up taking the fall, getting sent to the slammer for 10 years. But get this, even though it wasn't just Shine popping off shots, he still got the blame. Witnesses said Diddy was firing too, but somehow Shine ended up being the fall guy. And get this, Diddy supposedly promised to hook Shine up with top-notch lawyers, but instead, he allegedly threw him to the wolves and even paid off witnesses to testify against him. Bad Boy Records actually ditched Shine while he was behind bars. And get this, Shine spilled the beans in an interview from 2020, confirming that Diddy had totally backstabbed him. According to the feds, it's not just a small deal. There are a ton more people who got caught up with Diddy, way more than we even know about. It's like, this thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But that's it for today's video. See you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.